Hi, Davi here, and today we have a new episode in the Art of Davi not podcast, but YouTube channel. We have a new art review, and today we'll be checking out the work of DIno, just DIno, but at DIno_illus. I will link the links, by the way, in the description below. So my bad, I should have posted something, within the past few days, but I did have my recurring gout issue. If you've ever had gout, it was a somewhat horrifying experience, and I'm kind of back. I still can't walk fully, but I'm back in this realm of YouTube. So anyway, I did talk about DIno a bit in the last video featuring the work of 96, and I'm trying to focus more on this kind of painting anime style where it's a bit more dramatic. It's not like rendered like Sakimi-chan type. It's more painterly, more it's impressionistic, meaning you can see the brushstrokes, and it's not like fully like defined or rendered, and there's like a room to for you to fill in the gaps, but it feels like there's an efficiency to the brushstrokes. Even though it's impressionistic, you're not flooding the illustration with like too many brushstrokes, like it's enough. Like there's a certain amount of brushstrokes that are being used, at least when it comes to the work of DIno_illus. So we'll check out some of his work here. This is, I think, from what's the anime? Fuck, it just showed this year or last year. I can't recall, but it's I think MAPPA, the animation studio did this. And it's actually nice also that DIno posts some of the beginning sketches, and if you actually zoom in, on the paintings, the way the brushstrokes are done, the way it's painted, it's just it's super nice to look at. It has a very artsy, kind of cultured, like emotional vibe to it. It's a bit more, I see more light in DIno's work compared to say 96, or maybe I'm just attracted to the more dramatic lighting in DIno's work. I mean, 96, the last artist we reviewed, also has dramatic lighting, but it's a bit more like intense, and it has a dark, evil vibe to it, or at least the works that have that, I think, really spoke to me. Especially the Chainsaw Man fan art, with the red kind of hot orange background, and the use of black in 96 works or paintings. I think that it has a different dramatic vibe. Now for DIno, a bit different, a bit more, I think, colors being used, although it's not a very wide hue variety. I just see more slightly more brushstrokes, or a slighter range of like hues. We have some although black is not like super used, but it's there sometimes. It's a bit it's just not as dark as 96, I guess. We have a few, shit, I forgot that it's a game. I think this is based off of a game. I forgot. I'm actually not a gamer, but it's a very famous game. Hopefully you can remind me in the comments, but yeah. So we're just gonna pick a few pieces, and obviously the portfolio is pretty much lots and lots of fan art. And I think and I also like how they post the actual reference photo, kind of like 96. They will have a reference photo, and then they will just bash in or implant in the character they like, the actual fan art. And I think this is Chainsaw Man. This is Himeno, I think. I'm guessing. The cigarettes, the suit, and I think she has an eye patch here. And yeah, I did find this artist on Twitter first, and then obviously I think there's an Instagram account here and such. But I think this is again Chainsaw Man, Kobeni. Ooh. And yeah, a very popular artist. I do recommend you check out DIno. So let me just go back to the top and see the more recent work, because maybe we can see some new development. And as you can see, the lighting, there's way more soft lighting, I guess, in the work. Like it's almost cinematic to an extent. Although it still falls on the more painterly side, I don't see a lot of blurs being used, which is very common nowadays. Although I'm kind of iffy with it because it can dull the details too much. So it's kind of like you're wasting the brush strokes, you know, especially when it comes to the background or the immediate foreground. But for DIno, I think there's way more showing off of the painting strokes. So I think this is an Evangelion fan art piece or pieces, right? Oh, she's smiling here. I think this is Makima, right? And yeah, so let me just pick some more out and then we'll go through each one and see what we can find. And we'll comes out from this session. Oh, this is the Edge Runners, the recent anime last year, I think, based off of the Cyberpunks game, I think. And you know the anatomy isn't even that tight. It's a bit like if you see painters, you know, like oil painters, wash painters, whenever they do their lay-ins or drawings or sketches to paint over, it's not super accurate. They're very focused on simplifying the shapes, and I think that's a great way to approach really complex topics. Now in this case, obviously DIno is a bit more, not a bit, but definitely focusing more on character art with anime features. Right, oh shit, sorry. But this is the Frieren, Freeren. I like these both, so let me check these out. Oh, by the way, someone commented in my comment section that you can actually use the middle button to the scroll button to open link in new tab, which is a lifesaver, by the way. So thank you to whoever suggested that, because I keep doing the whole like right click and then open link in new tab. So unnecessary. Although I think it only works with the open link. I don't think it does with the open image. Like you have to actually do, when it comes to the image, you have to do the whole right click thing. But anyway, that's nice. So I think we'll stop there. I think we have so many tabs open now. Oh yeah, before we even begin, there is one like tutorial that I think made by DIno that I think you should know about. It's a very simple tutorial on creating dramatic lighting, and it's a very viral piece. I think it got like 100+ likes and such, but it's a great way to break down your if ever you're struggling with your lighting techniques or approach. I think this quick kind of breakdown can really help simplify things and help you decide which approach to take. Oh, I like this too. Damn, you know, I have right now like 500+ tabs open. Like I have this habit of just opening. I think it's because of the suggestion of the middle button or the scroll button click. Like I just keep clicking that button, and now I have like almost closing in on 600 open tabs. So my PC is definitely taking a hit. So eventually we will find. Oh, this is another Makima piece. So sometimes you can actually see the sketches beforehand, and even when it comes to the painting, sometimes the actual sketch, the beginning one, the initial one, or the lay-in, it actually does show even with the painting. So, oh, this is nice. Some lighting studies here. Shit, I'm trying to find the shadow thing. Perhaps I skipped it. Oh, we have some nudes here, but I think it's a bit too risque for YouTube. So let me just work my way up again. This is so frustrating, but I think it's really worth it if you find. Oh shit, it's slowing down. Shit. I fucked up. No, this is just sad. If you've seen Edge Runners, it's pretty freaking sad, but you know. Oh, this one's actually a grayscale rendering. It's kind of like a manga illustration where they use gray tones, so that's interesting. Although right now I think we're going to focus more on the painting side of things. We have another tutorial here, but I think I'm going to skip that. And besides, I'm going to provide the links anyway, and you can just browse through this artist's portfolio. So definitely lots of Makima stuff here. Shit, it's really lagging, my bad. But, you know, we have to push through. Oh, found it, this guy. So let me start here and then we'll work on each tab. So usually, if I may, let me just bring out my pen here. Shit. Okay. So there's pretty much two ways of approaching lighting. I think this one is the most common, where you focus when it comes to the rendering. What you want to do basically is focus on one side. You can either focus on the area in light or the area that's dark, basically the shadow part. Now, for most of the art reviews I've done, I think I've noticed number one more, where people tend to focus more on rendering the areas that are lit with, well, light, and then in the shadowy parts or areas in shadow, they tend to tone down the details and such, because you can just kind of get the gist of it. Like, you don't have to render everything, and I think that's kind of my understanding of it. Like, it's a way to save time. But for DIno, I think they were trying to point out that you can use this for dramatic lighting. So I never really thought of it that way. It was more about saving time for me. But yeah, I think this is the more interesting one, because it's not as common, I think, where you render more the where you render more the areas in shadow than the ones in light, right? But I think this does create a really high exposure effect. I mean, yeah, it can lead to that dramatic lighting, but if you've ever seen a photo that's super like high exposure, that's in high exposure, or that has high exposure, it's a bit too like hot, or like sizzling hot in a way, like it's so like it's coming out of the screen. So sometimes I think it's a kind of a risky thing to do. But I think with this example, I think DIno did a good job of illustrating how you can have, like, you can do the sketch first, make sure there are two parts. One part is in shadow, one part is in light, and then pick one to just render to create that more dramatic lighting. I think I would try this first in general, or pretty much if you've never like rendered stuff before. I think this is way easier, and it's more practical because I think it's just used more often, seen more often, in pretty much like everything. This one is a bit more rare, but I think it does the same thing in achieving this dramatic effect. Let me just close this tab and, you know, make it easier for my laptop. So if you zoom in here, oh yeah, by the way, when I click the middle button, the scroll button, it doesn't actually open image in new tab. So I think it works with the open link, but not the open image in new tab. So yeah, if you zoom in on these sorts of paintings, it's actually not fully rendered. You can actually see the brush strokes, which I really like, and it's more. It reminds me a bit of Vlad Ganelli. I think I've mentioned the work of this guy before, concept artist. Like, it has the way the brushwork is done. It just reminds me of Vlad Ganelli. Maybe I'll link Vlad in the description below as well. But yeah, as you grow further away, you don't really need to detail things here, which is kind of my approach. You know, whenever I do the whole shadow thing, I don't really think of dramatic lighting. I think it's just a way to save time. So whenever things are further away, or whenever things are in shadow, I just do less details, and I think it's just it's more of a time saver thing for me. But again, in the past like study we did of the or in the recent study we did of that like quick tutorial of DIno, you can apply it for more dramatic lighting. But you don't. Sometimes you'll see pieces like this where the background is just plain white. It's not really meant to be like it's dramatic, but it's more about the composition, more about the pose. Shit, I forgot the anime name for this. It's he has like a power. He's like a ninja. Anyway, I do like the variety of strokes here, variety of brush strokes. It's not like a plain round brush, so it's pretty opposite to what we normally see in anime artwork, where people just or a lot of these anime style genre artists, they like using the basic stuff. No, they're not very playful, or they don't like using that many uh brushes. Brushes is more about the like they want to be creative with that limitation. But I think for DIno, I do see some brush variety here and there. So this is the main character chick. The other one is the guy, obviously. All of them are pretty much no shit main characters, but yeah, if you zoom in, you can actually see the really bold and impressionistic brushstrokes. It's not really rendered, and even I think the initial sketch is often seen, right? Some edges aren't even that like tight, or some lines don't even meet up, but it still works. And I think if you look at the background again, it's just plain white, but the composition, the pose, is what really makes it stand out. And some lighting too, with the hand here. There's a bit of contrast with the robe and the actual body, the hair and the face. Now for the face, it's a bit clean, it's a bit tight if you look at the bottom neck. Or shit, just the neck, jeez. And the profile of the face, there's a lot of like, not a lot, but there's very deliberate line work there. It's super tight, not super tight, but super minimal, super elegant, but it's there. It's not like a wild, like say the hair. And that's also another way, another contrast there. Very wild strokes with the hair and the hairband or the hair tie. And then in the face, it's just really smooth and really clean. And not many brush strokes there. If you look at the face, the neck, it's pretty much just one major hue or value. The hand is also nice too. So minimal lines, I guess, for DIno. It's still there. It's not fully rendered, which I like. It has that sketchy but very, like, it's bolder. It's a very bold approach of doing art, and I like it. So here we have, the other ninja chick. If you zoom in, you have to zoom in to really appreciate these types of paintings, because you're not really flooding the piece, or DIno here is not flooding the piece with so many brushstrokes. That's kind of a bad habit of mine, where I think adding more brushstrokes is going to make it more it's going to fix something. But I do like the underlighting here, or I think they call it subsurface scattering or something. Basically, you will notice some like reddish orange colors whenever you do skin, like when light penetrates the skin, like this kind of effect happens. So that's nice. But look at how smooth it is, and how solid looking it is, and how not plain in a bad way, but just direct. Not many like extra unnecessary. Well, is that a thigh gap? Jeez. It's a bit much, but it happens. And sometimes I do like seeing the more pencil-y strokes where they use a very small brush to kind of do this dashy line thing. Let me just bring out the pen again, because having the pen is fun. Right? You can see it right here. Like oh my god, it's so slow. Jesus, even here in the neck, right? So yeah, even when it comes to this band right here, like you can see some extra, like maybe the initial line work, right? And when it comes to this line work, you'll see here in the edges, maybe it was done after, I'm not sure. But I don't think it does not look like a pencil sketch to me. Maybe there was an initial sketch, but after doing like the paint over, then you can still fix it or really define the edge by adding a thinner line. And you'll notice it's not a pencil sketch, it's not even an inked kind of approach. It's more of it's maybe I'll avoid using the pen now because it's so slow. But you get the point. Jesus, my bad. I have so many tabs open. Oh shit, I just passed 601. So now it's my 601 tabs. You can't really see it, but it's there. Oh my god. Anyway, so yeah, again with the hair, it's a bit messy, but it works. You know, I still get it. And again, there's a bit of that contrast when it comes to the chaos of the hair and the very plain or very. It's almost like a flat rendering of the face. And again, I do recommend really zooming in. Anything else? Yeah, very minimal brush strokes. You're not flooding the piece with multiple. You're trying to keep it simple. It's kind of like John Park. He's a concept artist, but he talks about brush efficiency in his work. And I think DIno has a similar vibe where it's not they're not going for a rendered look. It's just whatever is enough, right? Excuse me. So this is the initial sketch. Interesting. So it's pretty much everything was solved in this stage. The composition, the pose, the proportions, maybe some of the line work did remain. But yeah, the energy is there, composition, even the face is pretty much like the next phase is pretty much just coloring the whole thing. So I'm not sure if this is the first. I'm sure there were a few more sketches before this to arrive at this magnifique pose. And the folds are really nice too. So yeah. Shit. Retry. It's a bit risky, so we'll skip this. But yeah, you can check out the Twitter account or X account. Very beautiful work. Let's zoom in here. Shit, come on. Oh. Sorry. So yeah, this one's a bit more textured. Maybe there was an overly textured done after the whole thing. If you look at the hair here, you can actually see some brush spacing. Maybe this person is using Photoshop, I'm guessing. It looks like it was done in Photoshop. And look at how as you go further down, it gets less tight. It's pretty much like a silhouette. I love this hair thing. It's like a headband or something. Is it a headband? Or just white hair or something? But yeah, very bold, impressionistic, very painterly. And it's interesting seeing this combined with anime or with the anime genre. This one does look more like an oil painting. And I think that the texture, the canvas texture does help to get that feeling. Especially in this area in shadow, in the chest, in the shoulder, in the neck. You can see some hues there. It has that pastel kind of look. Whenever you blend pastels, it has that vibe where things just blend really nicely. It looks more pastel here in the neck, but more oily here in the shoulder to the breasts. Very interesting. You can still see some initial, maybe not the initial, but some line indications. Whenever you do paintings, you try to avoid, or usually the aim is to avoid line work. But sometimes you can leave it in because it adds a bit of an oomph to your work. It's kind of like the work of Evan Lee, another concept artist, and I think he likes to add like lines in the end, like in the silhouette or in his figures or like characters. It just adds that. Like it's not even necessary, but it just adds a bit of, I guess, like it contains certain shapes well, or better than say just creating two different values. Let's say the neck here, you can just add like a line to just add a bit of like teeth to it, you know? So yeah, very interesting. This is I think a Chainsaw Man character. I haven't read the manga. I don't really read manga, but I think you have to pull this or something, who knows. Hopefully this is a Chainsaw Man character, but yeah, very artsy. If you're focusing on the bottom part, in the feather parts or the frills, whatever these things are called, it's very impressionistic. I do see maybe a mixer brush being used. I can see some paint being pulled around, some textures here, some canvas, concrete maybe texture. It just adds a bit of, I guess, grit to your paintings. And again, this is the line work that I'm talking about. It's not even like it's not designed, like it's not a pencil sketch. It's not an inked thing like for manga or comics. It's actually like it goes and blends well with the paint, because I've seen works where they add in line work and it doesn't mix well with the color part or with the rendering part. But I think with this kind of style, like the line work seams, or these lines, these edges, they feel painted in, so they kind of flow with the paint. And it's very minimal, and you have to be really aware of the thickness of it. You can see some of it in the hair strands. Like there's like the borders or the contours of the outer, maybe of the individual strands, definitely, but also of the whole shape of the hair. You can see some of those really bold lines. I think it's a good mix. It kind of has that watercolor vibe. Whenever you do watercolors, do you know how like it bleeds in the edges? It has that vibe, but in this case, it's done digitally, but it has that oil painting vibe or pastel vibe, right? Even for this, and not just the profile of the face and neck and the arms, but in these earring things, if you look at the edge, there's like a pink line all over it. Like it has that Art Nouveau kind of thing there, right? Shit, we're already at 26 minutes. I want to keep this short, but sometimes you just have so many pieces to study, so this one's a bit more chaotic, but it definitely has that more pastel vibe, because it just maybe this is the final piece. It actually does work, but it's nice. Now you can tell the face, even more so the eyes, are definitely more defined. And yeah, I think DIno is able to achieve this balance of doing this kind of anime style with painting, because I think Cynic's design, big art YouTuber, I think he mentioned how there is difficulty in trying to balance or do both, because the anime genre anatomy is a bit different, so sometimes it's hard to mix that well with the more painterly approach. So essentially what happens is the face has to be a bit more flat, less shapes involved, or less value range, right? But I think, again, DIno did a good job here. Oh, here's the process. So let me just see the whole piece first. Shit, I forgot the game. I've seen a few, I think there's an anime adaptation of this. I've seen a few episodes, but yeah, I think they have a thing here. Like it's sort of it's one of those relationships where they're not admitting that they're kind of into each other, By the way, those are very cute. Those kinds of like that trope is kind of my thing, It's because it's very subtle, and anyway. If you look at the brush strokes, really nice. It's so like minimal. It's not overdone. It's very bold, and the edges don't have to be always clean, but shit, it's kind of hard to. I really like this kind of style. It's so attractive to me. So lots of splatter in the end for like that, dramatic effect. It's not just about the lighting. Sometimes texture does help. I do see some noise added in the end. The noise texture. So this part of the clothing, or this jacket, is kind of in light to kind of put it further back. So there's that. I do like how the blending brush or the mixer brushes are being used to drag paint. It makes it more painterly, because if you just paint things without blending them, it can look very gouache and very... it looks solid, but it doesn't seem as smooth. But having this kind of blending effect where you drag paint around, it's just or maybe you're using the smudge tool, whatever. It just adds a bit of that natural artsy vibe, because the more you do this kind of thing, the less your painting will, I believe, look rendered, you know? And again, as you go further down, if you look at any kind of dark part, it's hardly with detail. So in this case, the areas in light have a bit more rendering than, say, the areas in shadow. So the dramatic lighting thing is being applied here. I also like the reflected lighting in the bottom of the chin, kind of pink orange kind of vibe. You can see it also in the under parts of these shoulder pads, or the clothing basically, under the breast, under the coat here. I don't see a huge or hue range. It's very simple. The grays of the hair are actually blue, and then as you go further down, it gets more pink. So that's interesting. So as you go further top, it's a bit more cold in terms of temperature. As you go further down, it's a bit more warm, which is interesting. I'm not sure where the pink light is coming from, but it works. Anyway, oh yeah, I also see is this brush spacing, I think? I mean, look at how the hair isn't even that tight or refined. So it's a really great contrast to the usual stuff you see when it comes to this kind of genre. So I would like to explore the whip progress here. Let me just have some water. Fuck. Oh wow, as you can see, it's pretty much everything is done in this stage. And I think it's important because you're going to spend a lot of time, even if there are minimal brush strokes, or even if you're not flooding the painting with multiple brush strokes, you still have to plan them in a way and not overdo it. So you want to make sure that from the get-go, you already have a solid composition in place. And in this case, you can see some line work. It's very crude, very rough, but it works. You're going to paint over it anyway, and maybe some of it does get left behind, but the idea is there. And it's a very systematic way, or systemic, who knows, of approaching your illustrations. Because sometimes you can kind of change things as you go, but that can take super long. So why not just plan things beforehand and make sure you set the limits from the very beginning in your drawing stage, right? So this is more of the under color or the flats. One for the skin, one for the hair, and one for the coat or their clothing. And it's interesting. It saves time because they are the same, or they use the same colors for both characters, so that's good. After the flats, we have the lighting. So I guess you're separating which part is which areas are going to be in light, and which areas are going to be in dark. And when you do this, now you can focus on which part ought to be rendered just a bit more than the other. And of course, added background gray to help make the light pop out more. Oh, let me see what changed here. So there were some particles added, like the white stuff, but also maybe some blending modes, some layer blending modes to add some, because I do see some stuff added here. It just adds some texture, maybe. Yeah, maybe under multiply or soft light or overlay, it just adds more. Like even with the face, even if there's not much texture, not much texture in the face, you can see maybe some soft light being used. Like there's a warmer tone to it. Interesting. After the flats, after the light, you do the color modes or the color effects, and then from there you can work your way. Yeah. So anyway, it's just move on. Shit. Some more stuff here. So definitely, there's usually going to be focus on like one specific anime, do a few pieces, and then they'll move on to a different, show. Chainsaw Man, Himeno with Aki, Chainsmokers, interesting. And again with the very loose kind of lines. It's not very tight, even the way the shadows are done for the hands. I mean, you still get the gist of it, where the hand and fingers are, but it's not like flooded with, like it's not as tight. You know, it's very minimal brush strokes, but it's also not tight, you know. And the background is white, so it's very simple. And it's a great way to, if you're doing character art, you don't have to always work on the background. You can just leave it as it is. And in this case, add some shadow. Oh, I think this is what, this is the piece that got me into DIno. Into DIno's work. This is Power. Her name is Power from Chainsaw Anime. Or Chainsaw Man. Chainsaw. Oh, and these, interesting. I like the way the hair is done. Reminds me of another artist named Ask or Ask Kize something. She's a very big anime artist, and she has this style where the line work is colored. You'll see this sometimes in comics too, where they color in the inks, and I think it blends well with the painting when you do this kind of thing where it's not exactly black. Like the line work is very close to the color that's close to it. And sometimes in general, it's better to use, or I've seen people use like red, orange line work because it kind of goes with everything. Even it's not just about the skin, but even when you're drawing metal and stuff, right, or any kind of thing that's not skin, it just has that vibe of like a red just works, or orange, and this warmer kind of color for these lines. It just seems to work. Yeah, interesting. Same approach, very minimal. If you look at the body, there's actually hardly any rendering. Maybe in the armpit too. Some shadow here, but it's mostly flat. There's more rendering, say, in the shorts and in the hair, and maybe in the bra. So nice contrast. Rendered hair, flat arms, right? Flat face, and then rendered bra, flat torso or midsection, and then rendered shorts. It's kind of like an alternating thing. I'm not sure who this hand belongs to, but it's interesting. Kobani being kind of a little hoe. It's a joke. It's a joke. I think she was supposed to be a prostitute, but she decided to be. She decided to work for the government instead, and become this devil hunter thing. Anyway, let's just move on. Kind of hot, but okay. I'm not exactly if you've seen the anime. I'm not even sure what the her power is. Although I do know she uses a knife to fight, so I'm not sure where that power comes from or where her agility comes from. But oh, this one seems like a very classical painting. It's almost in the territory in terms of the mood or the darkness. Reminds me a bit of 96. So you can see here, DIno did mention that it's a study from this person or from this piece. So you can see the mirror here. It's kind of like a self-portrait, but DIno transformed it into this amazing thing, right? So yeah. Anyway, oh, we can actually see John Kafka here. I think they both know each other at the very least online. And actually, this piece reminds me of one of John Kafka's. I think I reviewed their work before, his work before. And I think the thumbnail photo, I think he did a piece on Makima as well. a fan art piece, and I think this is Makima, right? Who knows? But I remember the red hair, and yeah, they both have a similar style. So 96, DIno, and John Kafka, and also I'll add Silmo. I will link these people, by the way, in the description below. If I don't list them, then just tell me, because I do mention quite a few artists kind of on the fly. So sometimes I forget to add them in the description below. But yeah, so this painting apparently took 8 hours as well. So don't be afraid. It's another example that these types of illustrations do take time. And so trying to rush it, trying to create like a masterpiece, like a banger. Shit, it's 53k. Fuck. Dang. It's so nice to look at, by the way. Oh, in this case, guess what? There is quite a bit of rendering in the face, right? I mean, sure, there's way more contrast in the areas of light, but you know, this, especially with the face, anyway, the shadow, it's mostly in shadow, but it's still rendered, so it creates that dramatic effect, you know. I mean, there is still some rendering in areas in light, but it's not like you're not neglecting the shadowed parts, right? So that's interesting. And in a way, the crow, the wings kind of show you, it leads you to, as much as this is way more saturated, like the eye and the hair, like you can't help but look at the face. And I think the crows, or this part of the wing, kind of helps envelop and create this. Let me just bring back the pen. Hopefully it won't lag. Oh my god, it's lagging. There you go. Yeah, so there's the wing, right? It kind of does that. And then there's like a thing here. I mean, sure, there's some high contrast parts with the hair, but even if it's not high contrast here, even if it's within or under shadow, you kind of look at it. I mean, it's kind of cheating too, because it is in the center of the whole freaking thing. So you kind of get that, but it's interesting. Oh god, it's so slow. I'm trying to delete the lines here, but I guess I have so many tabs open. I'm going to have to stop this recording soon because it's taking too long and everything is just lagging. But yeah, the contrast here, even though it's blurred, in this case, DIno does use a blur technique, which is not often, I don't often see this in their work, but some high contrast area here, high contrast area here, even here, right? So I think that helps to accentuate this more. And there's way more saturation too. Saturation. And here it's very minimal. But that contrast between this and this, it kind of just helps accentuate the face more. So the more contrasting things you can create, or the more like back and forth stuff you can create, I think that can even a shit. Let me just remove these lines. Fuck. It's so slow. Oh my god, bruh. Please. Please. Dude, I'm trying to really remove this and it's actually annoying me to oblivion, but oh my god. Jesus fucking. You know, I'll say this. I have a short temper. So sometimes I cope by just laughing, but it's a bad habit. But sometimes I hit the table or I throw something in my room. It's not good. I know it's a bad habit, but sometimes you just feel things, you know. Thankfully, it's gone. Let me just bring back or take away the pen because it's there you go. So we're at 44 minutes now. Let me just do maybe a few more, right? Here we have Power again. Interesting Power. She's so hot, isn't she? Oh, actually, the area in light here, it's very high exposure. It's pretty bright, right? But yeah, nice armpit, based. I even like the way the couch is rendered. I like how you can see the dashy strokes here, the back and forth dashes of you're kind of rendering it through line. Like it doesn't have to be one solid paint. You can kind of sketch in the values and show off those brush strokes. An Evangelion masterpiece here. Oh, in the background there is a bit of blur. Yes, there is noise texture too, but the blur effect is being used definitely with the a bit in the foreground here in this I think the shoulder of this Ava 3, I believe, and definitely in the background, but you can still see the brush strokes, right? And it's nice to see. It's not a very like not everything is flat in the sense that you're filling it, say, with a bucket tool, so the entire like area is just filled with one color. Like it's not always that, and like you can see some spacings in between. The rendering isn't that like a solid, and it makes the illustration look more natural. And I think that's why these types of for me anyway, they're kind of attractive to me because there's that natural element to it, even if it's done digitally. Like it feels like more manual in a sense, you know. Asuka, I believe her name is. Oh, one of my favorite pieces. Oh, zoom in on this piece. It's shit, I forgot her name. She's the pilot of Ava 0, Unit 0, and Asuka is the pilot of Ava 3 or 2. Fuck. What? Which one is the red one? I'm forgetting, but cool show by the way. And again, you can hardly see the line work. Like there is no line work per se, but you can see some lines being used to define edges, and it's kind of like a nice mix of both. Like you're defining things via shape, defining things via value, and sometimes defining things via line, right? Even with the hands, like look how minimal the paint strokes are. Look how minimal the lines are if we're trying to indicate the fingers or these sorts of intersecting parts. Even the way this hand is rendered, like you can see the dashy strokes. Like it's not, and it's very loose, not loose in the sense that there's no, like it's so wild, but it's like, what's the word? Like it just flows with the page. Oof. Like what am I saying? Hopefully you know what I mean. Like it feels so natural. And I like how the edges aren't always like plain and cut. Like it almost, like it captures, like whenever you see a sketch, oftentimes those sketches get more likes and get more views than say fuller finished illustrations. And I believe it's because of the energy that's there, right? There's a certain rawness that comes with the sketch, but I think DIno here is able to have that in more painted pieces. Even if there's no background, like, I mean, aside from the composition, obviously there's a bit of story here, assault, or maybe they're just being playful or being bashful, right? You know how women are, right? If you look at the colors too, not a wide range of hues here. It's pretty contained. Like orange is orange, white is white, more or less. Some blues definitely. So Asuka is the warmer character, and I forgot her name. Ray is the cooler character in terms of, you know, obviously there's lots of blues in her attire, her hair definitely. There are no eyes here indicated, but if you look at the way the face is rendered, typical anime, it's pretty much just flat. Some lighting here in the bottom chin. For Ray, there's hardly anything. It's just like a flat, like a strong silhouette of the face and the head, and then defining the edge with a very efficient, elegant line. Even the way the mouth is done for Ray, And even more so for Asuka, it's so minimal, but it just works. And you'll notice that it's not as, definitely not as, like it's so far apart from how, say, the hair is rendered, and the, the costume or the clothing, right? Like it's a very strong contrast. I love the shadows in the hair too. I mean, it's so pretty. Some mixing happening here with the, a blending brush or a mixer brush or a smudge tool of some kind. Very minimal, but it's there. It really helps to create that painting effect. Not afraid to show or indicate sections via line. In this part, you can see some, like, just value difference, but in the outer part, you can see some lines. Even if it's not fully complete, you can see some of it in some edges. So it's a very nice mix of both. Oh, this is Ray, and I believe, she, yeah. Oh, there's a bit of background here. Oh, and I do see some RGB shift happening. Yeah, there's a bit of that. Nice texture, definitely. But DIno really likes to play a lot with the lighting. It's very moody. Here we have Denji with, I forgot her name, Marito. They have a kind of relationship. It's not legal per se, but it's there. The colors are very minimal. I love the strong orange here, or red orange. Even the way the grass is done here, the blur effect is being used. It almost looks like a photograph to an extent, which is, typical cinematic artsy vibe. I think DIno is a very moody kind of person here, like very, what's the word? Melancholic per se, right? And look at how there's hardly any definition. It's mostly about shapes, I think. Strong composition, nice shapes, minimal colors. Just orange. It's pretty much just two strong temperatures. That's hot, orange, red, and then maybe some blue, green, right? I love the background too. It's almost like a faded technique. Very interesting piece. You're actually featuring two characters here, and there's a bit of a narrative going on. It's not a close-up, like the other paintings or works, but it has a lot of that dramatic impact. So here we have Asuka. I love the brushstrokes of this getup, or this one piece. Is it a one piece or this kind of suit? I do see way more texture brushes being used. Very playful. And again, with that line work that goes with the skin, so it's kind of orange brown. And she does have a bit of that, attitude there, but yeah, I like it. So we're closing in on 1 hour, so let me just go through the remaining. I have way more, but we'll see what we can do with the remaining time. So here we have an initial sketch, but it's not via line, it's by shape, via silhouette. So the background is being set apart from the character. And then you color in the parts within the character, makes sense. And then you fix the edges up, do some bit of rendering. Oh, I love this part here, like focus on the neck part, the clavicles, the shoulders, wow. And obviously the boobs, the latex design. Oh, jeez. Look at how there's no line work in the edge, but DIno does add a bit of that in the end. It just adds a bit of like extra something, right? You can always add these sorts of defining edges later after the painting. And it still works, so there's that. Here we have a grayscale sketch. Yeah. Lots of textures. Maybe this is a photograph. Some basic photo bashing, and then I think there's a colored version of that. Oh wow. Oh, look at that lighting there. Some color dynamics being used. This looks like a poster, right? Very straightforward, but you're seeing it from the bottom up. Looking up on her as she, looks down on you. Ugh. I was reached out by Rafal, the Edge Runner showrunner, to make a poster for his new manga. I liked it a lot, especially this bear girl. So, I think Rafal is an artist who worked in this anime, Edge Runner anime. So, Rafal, I guess, wanted some of that DIno vibes for his manga or comic, right? Look at how minimal it is. Not everything has to be rendered fully. It can be minimal. Impressionistic, but minimal. You're not flooding the piece with, multiple brushstrokes. You're keeping it simple, soft, elegant, and, just enough. Sketch. Oh, is this a cyberpunk trick? Maybe. I've seen this before. I think in 3D porn. I've seen I think it's based off the game. I think I've seen this character before, like a girl with this kind of haircut, with this pink edge or pink highlights, being just dogged out. Yeah, kind of cute. Look at how the hand is done. Is it fully defined? No, but it's enough. Like you get it. You know where it's going. Even the pants, the way the folds are done, like it's just right. Oh, who is this? Let's zoom in just a bit. Reminds me of a bit of 96 again, that red. Wow, this thing is sharp. I haven't seen this before. Some texture, some canvas texture. Some blur effect being used for this hand, and even the hand behind, or further away. Very strong contrast, very sharp if you zoom in on this piece. Wow. And the red is like a hot red. It's so sexy. It's almost like erotic in a way. So hot. Interesting. Oh, I see some blacks for the it almost looks like a comic. It has that comic look, but it's also painted at the same time. I like the very non-traditional approach where sometimes you mix different techniques. It looks like a manga or comic inked thing, but at the same time there's a bit of that painterly vibe to it, right? It's so nice to look at. Even the way the line work is done here, like it's not clean. It almost looks like a sketch, but if it were too clean, I don't think it would work as well. So pretty. So maybe one more. Okay, so here we have the actual sketch. Oh, I think it pretty much remained the same, right? Wow, look at how far it went from the sketch to the actual painting, right? Oh, that's so hot. So yeah, I guess for DIno, lots of work in the beginning, setting things right, making sure everything is where it's supposed to be, and then just spending the rest of that time just making things look amazeballs, Here we have Freeren, way more painterly than usual. Way more, it looks softer, but I do see some rake brushes being used right here. A noise texture in the end. Nice. And I like how the face, the eyes are so minimal. Like you can hardly see any detail, but it's there. This piece, I guess, is mostly led by the lighting. The edges are quite soft, hardly any line work. Maybe a bit here with the robe, but it's almost like it's a moving event. Like it's a picture in motion, but the lighting kind of solidifies or ties you down. So yeah, it's mostly carried by this really high contrast kind of lighting, this dramatic lighting, but it's coming from below, right? Shit, 68? Oh my god. 68 likes. Oh, damn, one day. One day you'll see me among the... Anyway. Oh, here we have Fern, the other magician chick. I think we'll stop the video here. I have way more, I think, opened up, but I think it's too much. 1 hour is just too freaking much. Focusing on the hair, I love it. She's looking... It's like a photo, a very dramatic photo. I do see some RGB shift happening here. Interesting. The blur effect is being used again. Multiple techniques being used here. It has a painterly vibe. It has that cinematic vibe. It has that poster vibe. It has that everything, right? But it's all mashed up, mixed up well together. And again, the hues, they're not super wild. They're kind of within one range. I'm going to assume there's some kind of reference photo being used to kind of just tie things down and keep it simple. But that's enough. Look at how the lighting here happens in her face, touching the strands of her hair. And as you go further back in the areas and shadow, it's a bit more blue. It's a bit more purplish, right? I mean, yeah, it's her hair, but also there's a contrast between the warmer side here and the cooler side that's in shadow. Very minimal line work in the face. Very delicate details for the eyebrows, for the eyelashes, even for her collar right here. It's a bit, it's not even clean. It's a bit sketchy, but it's enough. It works. Right? Look at how nice this hair part here. Yeah, this hair thing here with the lighting. Like, it's not rendered in a typical like anime illustration way, but like you feel this piece. And I think that's what's fascinating about DIno's work, is you can feel the paintings, and I think it's done mostly through the lighting effects. So hopefully you've learned something, you've enjoyed the work. Hopefully, I do recommend you just follow this freaking person on Twitter or on X, and hopefully you've learned something from this person's recent past work. So that's it for this art review of DIno, and I'll see you in the next art review or video.